hedge number 2 is every 5th pleacher is left by the tree shear at about 3 foot to act as a living stake. The rest are then cut with a tree shear and tidied up with a chainsaw, and the brash put back on top with the grab on the tree shear. Good regrowth, very good regrowth, and actually, to give it its due, these living stakes are living. The next length is solely, Mabel, come here you tit, is solely done with a tree shear, no tidying up with a chainsaw. Again, you can see the living stakes are starting to come back to life. There is regrowth amongst the brash, and you certainly wouldn't say it's quite as prolific at this early stage as that which has been tidied with the chainsaw. Right, now no brashing up on this. Mabel, come. So, this is solely compassed with a tree shear. There's no tidying up at all, and no brashing up. So, what we say the regrowth is, of course it's species dependent. Some are always more vigorous than others anyway, but browsing is more obvious. A lot of hairs here, and the shattering that the tree shear gives, although it looks pretty dramatic when it's first done, hasn't stopped this field maple from growing up the whole way round his length. And right, here's the hedge left untouched. Obviously the tree guards have been left on, as they are in so many farms up and down the land, and although ostensibly this looks like a good hedge, not a lot in the bottom at all. That is not a hugely what you might call grey partridge friendly hedge, so hence the reason why it's been receiving our attentions. With the amount of hare and deer browsing there is here, I think you could probably safely say that some of this browse line here isn't courtesy of any management issue, it's unwanted management by deer. Right, the next length, cut with a tree shear and then tidied up with a chainsaw, and unbrashed. So what do we say? There is more uniform regrowth, and I would say it's probably marginally more prolific at this early stage. There is evident signs of browsing, one would imagine, from hares, of which are prolific here at this height. It does seem to be more of a damage to hawthorn than to field maple, but there's a significantly less regrowth of the marginal plants here, a lot lower. Now this length here has been cut with a tree shear, tidied up with a chainsaw, and then was dead hedged by hand, retained by these stakes. Now, interestingly, the regrowth here is markedly more prolific than anywhere else. Is that because dead hedging by hand has helped it to get a bit more light and protected at the same time? Is it its position in the field? I'm not entirely sure, but as far as coppicing goes, this appears at this hugely early stage to have had the best regrowth rate thus far. So that is cut with a tree shear, tidied up with a chainsaw, and then the brash as a dead hedge put in by hand, time consuming, costly of course, and then staked in place. So one wonders if possibly there could be an amalgam of the two, but there seems to be, if you look at this as it stands, there is more here at the moment for wildlife to go at in this quite dramatic method of hedgerow management, of coppicing. Then we come to conservation hedge laying. So this is not bound, this is purely staked whenever it needed it, and it did need it up here because this is the most exposed part of this field, most windswept part. What do we say? Well, obviously we've got significantly more low growth, so we're getting top to bottom growth. It was a failure using these machine stakes. That was a mistake on my part. They are not up for the job. The stools are starting to regrow nicely. No huge sign of deer browsing, although there is some. And the marginal grasses have grown up. But I mean, you've got a hedge, a lot more of a hedge than you do with coppicing straight away, but significantly more expensive. So that's conservation hedge laying. Finally, we're going to go on to a more traditionally laid hedge. And our final hedge is a more traditionally staked bound hedge, and this is the last one that was done. So this hedge was laid in the back end of February, whereas the conservation hedge was laid in October. The regrowth from top to bottom is better, to be perfectly honest, and that is probably because this is in a more sheltered spot, but also the staking and binding has meant that it has benefited from much more rigidity. The brash put behind on the field side to protect against browsing, which seems to have worked. We've got quite a dense understory of grasses, docks, a bit of cow pasture growing up, and the regrowth on the hedge appears to be significantly less browse. You could say that immediately would be nesting habitat on the edge of this field. So same age, just a different style, but the most expensive to do. £12.40 a metre, whereas the conservation hedge laying is £9.40 per metre, and the coppicing £4 per metre. And that is also remarkably exactly what you would get from the Rural Payments Agency for those different methods too. There we go. Hedgerow management at the Barkers. Well done them for doing it, and my little part of actually doing the hedge laying and the chopping and cutting.